All right, we're here. We're back. It's Sovereign Minds,
The podcast.
podcast. There you go. And we're kind of winging it from the new epicenter of freedom down here at
The new digs.
I'd say the basement, or I was almost said the vault, and then I changed my mind.
Yeah, be careful what you say.
We're in
We're just
the bunker.
downstairs.
We're in the underground epicenter bunker. How's that? And
That's
so,
better. We're downstairs
we got,
in the new digs.
Leslie, she's here with us, and she's taping as usual. But we're doing this in a different way. We should be all back up and running and normalized by next week. I can see her sparkly phone from here, and it's kind of.
I don't know if it will be normalized next week, but
some of us are already normal, but normalized, I don't know.
I don't know. But anyway,
today is July 3rd, the day before July 4th, which would be obviously Independence Day, 250 years, America. Yay!
Yeah, it's going to be yay! Alrighty, here we go.
Yeah, well, it should be good. And today's also somebody very special to me's birthday. Just so I'm not going to mention any names, Lily, but you know who you are. And so today we're going to be talking. Today's title of this podcast is number 174. Can you believe we've done 174?
I can't believe this. How many? And that's not counting the radio shows.
That's not counting anything except
this. Yeah, that's
we did
crazy.
a radio show on KQMS last week for Kevin Cry, which was pretty funny, I think, and then people might enjoy looking back at that. But we're going to title this one, number 174, Wired for Sound. And so we'll get right to it here.
Yeah, it may not be exactly what you think, but here we go.
I'll tell you what.
When we were putting the show together, the news cycle is just spinning stuff so fast. I mean, we've said that before, but I mean, it's really coming out.
Today's
fast
news
now.
cycle was so... I mean, it's like they released all the stories for like a 2 weeks period or something, because it's just all of a sudden boom, 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 boom. You know, you're struggling for a couple of days, you don't see much, then all of a sudden you just get
maybe it has to do with the
dump
4th
on
of July,
Friday,
maybe.
4th of July.
Woo, 250 years here.
Everybody's going away for the weekend. Here, we'll do it now so nobody will catch all this stuff. Yeah. So here's one that we thought was interesting, and I didn't really see any mainstream on it, but do they have any credibility left at this point anyway? So who cares? Even if they ran it, they'd slant it to the point where it would probably be Newsom was a good guy. And didn't
oh, well, yeah, that's what they say right now. You know, everybody will vote for him. He's going to run for president. He's such a great, upstanding dude.
So I'm looking at this. I got a couple stories I pulled up. Here's Zero Hedge, which I find kind of interesting. They run a lot of alternative media stories. They're kind of like the undercover guys a little bit. Mostly financial stuff, but the title of the article is FBI Mole War Wire Inside Newsom's Inner Circle Lawyer. Now, that's a very interesting title, because we've been seeing Newsom come out a lot lately with it's all Trump, and it doesn't.
He's sending the DOJ after me.
Anything that happens is Trump's fault. He's like the evil genius that's controlling the world and causing everybody heartache and doing everything that could possibly be wrong on Earth, except he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just insane. These people are insane, but it's a good way. It's like it's on the playground. Let's say you're out on the playground and Billy slugs Kathy, and then you go to turn him in, and he tells the yard duty teacher that no, he did it. I mean, that's what this is like.
I don't know. It's just crazy, because how could one person come up with everything that they accuse him of?
Well,
I mean, really, come on and stop and think about it.
What would happen in that situation? You're sitting there getting an argument with somebody over something you didn't even do, and they absolutely did it, but they'll fight to the death to not take the blame. I mean, that's really the deal. They will denial. That's the prisoner's creed in prison, is never admit to anything.
You did it.
If you stabbed the guy right in front of the guards, you'd still say, I didn't do it. That's what this is, because but we'll see how this goes. And we keep hearing that nothing's happening.
I don't know. It's starting to show that things are happening. Maybe not to the degree we would like them, but it's interesting.
I mean, there's some people that are getting indicted, and we got Bolton. We had a little run of story. We'll get at that later. But let's get back to Gavin Newsom here. What a
Piece of shit.
yeah, that guy. So a mole was working for the Biden FBI, which is interesting in itself. So how can you blame Trump when the FBI put a mole in when it was the Biden administration?
Yes, and she's a Democrat.
Because he had his evil fingers back into the Biden administration even then.
Oh, is that it?
That's what it is, you know. So, but the FBI was secretly recording Newsom's inner circle before the agency expanded its corruption probe into the California governor and his wife, according to a bombshell report by the New York Post. Now I'd like to dig in.
Of all papers.
Well,
New
the
York
Post
Post.
is
good.
right leaning, and then you
Yeah.
got the Washington
The
Post.
Post.
Well, that's WAPO. You know, that's
Yeah.
like that's I have to remember is El WAPO because they're full of WAPO and should be El Caca. But anyway, this Democratic insider Alexis Podesta, no relation to John, a 45-year-old Sacramento consultant and Newsom appointee, no relation to John, secretly taped conversations for the FBI as early as 2024 while Joe Biden was still in the White House, according to McGregor Scott. Now, isn't McGregor Scott, wasn't he the treasurer or something in California? Or that
I'm
name
not
sounds
sure
so
about
familiar.
that. I would have to look that one up. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Sounds
or he
familiar.
was in charge of elections something. I mean, McGregor Scott, that sounds familiar. We should Google that real quick and figure out what who that is. It says the former U.S. attorney now representing. So I guess he was a former U.S. attorney, but that just name. There's something else going on with that name. I'll have to do some homework. Now representing Dana Williamson. Williamson, 53, ran Newsom's office as chief of staff until late 2024. In May, she pleaded guilty conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud, filing a
Say
false
it's not
tax
true.
return, and lying to federal agents. Now, federal prosecutors accused Williamson and others of orchestrating a scheme to siphon roughly $225,000 from a dormant campaign account which belonged to former HHS Secretary Xavier Becerra, disguising the payments as legitimate consulting fees while routing the money to benefit Becerra's former chief of staff, Sean McCluskey. Now, is anybody kind of seeing how this works? I mean, all we hear about is fraud, and all we keep hearing about how the money's supposed to go here and the money keeps going there, but you got to keep paying your taxes, and we need more money, and we need to raise your taxes because we don't have enough money because we're out of money because we spent all the money on something it shouldn't have been spent on.
And it shouldn't be a problem if I pay it over
It
here
shouldn't be a
and
problem.
they
That's
put
no
it over
problem.
there. It's no problem. I mean, they got it down. You know, they've got this tracked down.
I got all the money.
Yeah.
I'm a thief.
Hey.
I committed fraud. No problem.
Yeah, I
That's
just
what the
keep
problem is.
passing it
Yeah.
over to these different organizations, and eventually it comes back, and everybody gets a little pay.
It's like a piece of the pie.
Yeah,
It's like, hey, I want a piece of the action, you know. So
it's like a new Monopoly game. You know, you get a piece
only
of
I
property.
get to win because I
Yeah,
cheat.
because I started the pie.
Jeez. According to Podesta's attorney, she was placed in charge of overseeing the counts in question, but did not know the payments were improper. I didn't know that when we were sending those payments over there improperly.
Oh yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Becerra is now the Democratic nominee to succeed Newsom as governor. The plot sickens. Alexis wore a wire and Dana did not, said Williamson's lawyer, a former U.S. attorney for Eastern District of That's where I see. So he's a former U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of California, McGregor Scott. I've ran into this guy before. Well, like I say, a lot of people received letters essentially informing us that they were certain periods of time where the FBI was given access to follow phone calls, said Assemblyman Jones. We'll get into all the weeds here, but what it sounds like to me is that they got a wire put on her because she pled guilty to this stuff. So she became an informant for the FBI under the Biden administration, and she's been listening to the conversation because she's the chief of staff for like 2 years. But this is, of course, Trump.
Well, this is,
Oh.
I want to save my neck and I don't care about you. I'm just sorry, you know, rats don't care about as long as I'm saved.
So news of the wire comes. I want to hear some of this stuff because
Yeah. Without it being all redacted and everything.
Yeah, Governor Newsom would never mouth off in a meeting where he thought he didn't have anybody listening to staff and brag about what a guy he is, right? He wouldn't say anything. He's not a criminal. He doesn't commit fraud. My only question is, where did all the money go for the high-speed rail again? I don't know. So they're demanding records. They're abusing the grand jury process, digging through years and years of random documents. Donald Trump isn't just coming after me. This is what Newsom was saying a couple weeks ago. As soon as just before all of this news comes out, everything's Trump. They're going after me. I don't know.
Because he knows I'm going to run for president, so that's the only reason he's coming and attacking me and making up all this stuff.
So I went over to the next article to kind of look at that. And what they were doing now is the federal agents have been contacting people and organizations close to him, and they sent out letters saying that they had gone over some of their the wire testimony and the phone calls and the recordings, that they had to inform them that they had some of their conversations. So that's how they started knowing that all these people are getting letters from the FBI saying, we got you on tape here for something on this investigation. And so
was this during when he was going to the French Laundry too?
Well, 2004. No, that's probably a little later, but so
that could be interesting.
So it looks like these recordings are going to probably be a thing because we've got this investigation going. Is there going to be indictments on Gavin Newsom? We shall see, but it looks like the plot is getting thicker and thicker, and all about this nonprofit that his wife was running, that there was money being funneled over to it,
which we knew, but we didn't have the proof. He was giving
political favors, and now we got recordings.
Yeah.
Wow.
With her nonprofit and the children and the movies and all that sickening stuff that they were doing.
I don't know what they're doing. All I'm doing is reporting what I see and hear, and you can verify all these stories by just doing some search to go on AI. Look it up. Moving on. Okay. We didn't cover this last week, but we should have.
Bolton?
John Bolton, warmonger, pleads guilt. So when they're saying that nothing is happening, Comey's under indictment. His trial is coming up. We got John Bolton, who pleads guilty to retention of classified documents, which is exactly what he said Trump was doing at Mar-a-Lago when the FBI raided him. And he said Trump was the scumbag for, retaining these documents that were classified.
But we've been over this many, many times. Everything that they have accused us or the right doing or Trump doing, we find out they're doing. And before, we didn't have a lot of evidence. Now more and more is being pushed out. Yeah, they do have the recordings. They do have this evidence. They do have that evidence. So
that's the tactic. It's incredible how these guys have no self-awareness at all, or they don't care, or they're so ingrained in their own lies they don't know which a lie and what's not. Because they sit there and accuse you of lying while they're lying about you lying.
Yeah. And I know, like Tulsi Gabbard, I got it right. Hey,
got it right.
Yeah, I had her name all screwed up earlier, but anyway, she dropped a lot of information before she left office that is coming out more and more about in the past and everything. It's pretty interesting stuff.
So it's official. John Bolton is now a felon, and he pleaded guilty to unlawful retention of national defense information. He and his mustache have agreed to pay a $225 million fine and face up to 60 months in prison, which would be 5 years. We shall see how that goes. So we'll stay tuned.
Interesting. And will the mainstream media ever pick it up? Who knows? Probably not.
Oh, I think they picked it up, but it's like they don't.
They throw it down just as fast as they pick it up.
They don't put the pieces together. They never took John Bolton. He was the same guy that was all over Trump, saying Trump was a scumbag while they were raiding his house for retaining the records that he's allowed to do because he's president and can declassify anything that he wants anytime.
Yeah.
It's just insane. The worm's turning. I don't know. We're in the middle of it. We'll see how this goes. I do have another story about the Supreme Court that just gutted the deep state. We'll post this or run this. I'm not sure what Leslie's magical hands are going to do when this all gets put together.
It's a very interesting clip that he talks about the bureaucrats and the voters and who's really been making the laws and who's supposed
Yeah,
to
we
be
got-
making the laws.
We got more independent agencies that are not part of the government, that are probably getting funded by the government, that are
They're-
running the government and making laws instead of Congress.
Yeah,
and it's all
exactly.
for our own good, right? And that's
Yeah.
yeah.
And this decision actually makes it where it puts it back into the hands of the voters.
Well, it says that Trump can now fire anybody out of the executive branch, is what it did, and gutted the deep state that way. But but here's as soon as he did, he went to fire somebody. Another court stepped in and said he can't do that. So I don't know where this ends up.
Yeah,
We'll see.
it's pretty interesting. Like we talked earlier, the Supreme Court has been coming out with some pretty good decisions. I'm not saying all of them were good,
Well-
because the next, I think, article we talk about isn't a good one, but we've had some good victories too.
It's been a
The Supreme Court just gutted one of the load-bearing walls of the deep state, voting 6-3 to let Trump fire thousands of independent bureaucrats who are the spine of the deep state. Could we see the day when voters actually control the government that rules them? Last week, the Supreme Court decided the long-anticipated Trump v. Slaughter case, which revisits a 90-year precedent called Humphrey's Executor that insulated independent agencies from dismissal by the president. Now, this matters because independent agencies control some of the most important policy levers in the federal government, including the FTC that was at issue in Slaughter, which can block corporate mergers, the SEC, CFTC, and FDIC, which control financial markets and banking insurance, the FCC, who controls free speech, FEC for elections, NLRB for unions, FERC for energy markets, EEOC for affirmative action, and USITC that controls much of trade policy. It's pretty close to the whole shebang. That's a substantial part of the federal government, all outside the control of the president, meaning outside the control of voters, whose only influence is the president and Congress they elect. But with the filibuster paralyzing Congress, that boils down to only the president. So Slaughter puts the ball back in voters' hands. The background here is socialist progressives waged a century-long jihad to take the government away from voters and turn it into a self-licking ice cream cone that serves the progressive revolution. The landmark moment was the 1883 Pendleton Act that established an independent bureaucracy insulated from political control, hence voter control. The excuse was to fight corruption, which of course is as alive as ever, but the result was voters became spectators while federal workers became an occupying army. The deep state was born. It consolidated into so-called independent boards, starting with the Interstate Commerce Commission in 1887 that unconstitutionally regulated business. Then it took off an FDR socialist New Deal with dozens of agencies created to rule the country without voters. By
a few good ones, but the birthright citizenship was a real kick in the nards.
Well, so was the Roundup stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like the Roundup. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that
pulled
just,
up.
that's like, after all the years of fighting and getting it where, Roundup was bad and that, they could be held accountable and they were poisoning people. Well, the Supreme Court came back and said, no, you can't sue them or anything.
And what does that tell you? Does it tell you that everything's on the up and up and their rulings are based on nothing but pure judicial review of the law and interpreting it with regards to the Constitution, and so that it is a decision for the people, or Monsanto?
I was going to say, or do we have to follow the money on everything?
Yeah, so Roundup cannot be sued because Monsanto, I don't know, slips
Yeah,
a few bucks in some Caribbean account for who knows where.
Yeah, but anyway, you look at it, it's bad for the people because of Monsanto and the Roundup. We know how bad the Roundup is.
Yeah, I wonder who. So the only two that rule. So it's a 7-2 ruling. Gee, I wonder if anybody ruled with the left side of the court. Oh, I don't know, like Neil Gorsuch. How do you say it? Gorsuch,
isn't it?
Neil Gorsuch. No. Actually, I think he's Supreme Court. He decided against the court's majority in ruling that shielded bears. So he's one of the good guys. Gorsuch. I don't know. And Ketanji Brown decided against it. That's kind of unusual. So
yeah,
it's kind
that
of
is.
So
but anyway,
I don't like it at all, no matter how sliced the pie.
I don't either, because we all know how bad Roundup is, and yeah, we don't need to be poisoned, and nobody should be immune to being sued when they're doing stuff like that. Sorry.
We're not going to go through that story. I think we're going to end it here because Leslie's going to have her work cut out for her anyway, putting this all together and seeing if she can get it put out there.
And we
hopefully
mainly
we'll-
wanted to just talk about Newsom and let people know that maybe things are changing a little, especially here for California.
Well, and hopefully we'll have the studio up and running by next week, and we'll get right back on track, and it'll be a little more polished and presentable as opposed to, I'm not sure what we're going to end up with. So we're depending on Leslie.
knows?
Anything that goes wrong is Leslie's fault. And
But she doesn't have orange on.
oh, that's true.
She's not bad lady orange.
No, Orange Lady bad.
Orange
No?
lady bad, no?
Maybe she needs to go to the tanning booth. So anyway, but we do want to play our last thing is play the clip for Trump, the Dr.
Yeah.
Trump. That's why we're kind of ribbing Leslie here, because she's going to put that Dr. Trump on, because he's found a cure for Trump derangement syndrome, or not.
And look at the people that are on
There's
the
a few
screen.
locals that need the medicine.
Have you or someone you know been diagnosed with TDS? The symptoms can be relentless. Fortunately, I'm Dr. Trump, and I have a treatment plan. Let's hear what some of my patients have to say.
I have been suffering for over a decade, and after listening to Dr. Trump, I can see some results.
Man, I've been suffering for years. I really didn't believe that was help out there. That was when I came across this video on TV.
I really thought I was a lost cause. This was gonna affect me for the rest of my life. But after using the treatment plan, I can see a difference.
I really wasn't sure I could help some of these people. They were so far gone, I wasn't really sure. I had no idea how much this was affecting my life. My work is slowed down. I'm hardly recognizable anymore. I just needed help.
I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. Constantly angry. I made everyone miserable around me.
I feel like I've aged 20 years in the last 2 years. I've been so concerned, I was really starting to worry about my future.
The treatment is simple. Turn off fake news. Say your prayers, and if you ever feel anxious, just have a Diet Coke like me, and you're going to see a remarkable difference in your life.
It's devolved into third grade playground activities at this point. With some of the locals are just unbelievable. I didn't think you could be that immature and stupid, but I was wrong.
You can't fix
I'm not going to
stupid.
mention any names, but everybody knows who I'm talking about.
You just can't fix stupid.
All right. So with that said, government is not reason, it is not eloquence, it is force, and force like fire is a dangerous servant and a fearful master.
Till
And
next
we'll
time.
see you on the next one.